Hello, I'm Dawn Hollis, and this is part of my series of 5-minute writing ideas designed to help you work as productively on your PhD thesis as possible. In this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of creating a map before you begin drafting a chapter of your thesis. I'm assuming that by the time you are ready to start thinking about writing, you already have a sense of the overall shape of your thesis, how many chapters and broadly what each will include, so I'm going to talk in terms of planning an individual chapter. The first reason that you should create a writing plan is that planning can help you think about and develop the argument or analysis you want to make in your chapter. Planning isn't just a means to an end. It is a part of the creative and intellectual process of your PhD. It helps you to figure out and articulate what unique contribution to knowledge your thesis is going to make. The second reason is that a chapter plan is a great thing to ask for feedback on from your supervisor. It is a relatively short document, so a quicker piece of work for them to respond to than a whole chapter draft. It's also easier for you to make radical changes in response to feedback at the planning stage. By contrast, it can be very disheartening and a waste of time to hear, "I don't think you need this 1,000 words on such and such a topic," after you've already written them. Reason number 3 is that when you have a plan, you can write more quickly, because you aren't having to stop to think, okay, what do I write about next? Your previous self has already laid your route out for you, making the writing stage much more efficient. So, how do you plan a chapter of your thesis? I recommend you start by asking yourself 3 questions. Try to actually write out the answers to them. So question 1, what are the main points your chapter needs to make? Or you could phrase it a different way. What are the main questions this chapter is seeking to answer, or what argument or arguments is it making? This question is important and the one we ask first, because your thesis needs to be more than just a presentation of lots of interesting data or research material. It needs to tell the reader why this data or material matters and what it tells us about the research topic. Question 2 is, what resources will I need at my fingertips to write this chapter? What evidence will I need to provide to convince my reader of these points or to answer these questions? And what secondary literature will I need to reference? This question is important because it helps you to organise your material before you start writing. Once you know what evidence or secondary literature you'll be referring to, you can make sure you have them to hand for when you sit down to write. Question 3 is, how does this chapter relate to my thesis as a whole? This is probably the hardest question, but it's critical to try to answer it. The chapters of a traditional thesis aren't just standalone essays. They are part of a larger whole, and you need to have that in mind whilst you're writing. I'm a firm believer in the value of a very detailed plan, and I recommend that you plan your chapter at 3 levels of increasing detail. Level 1 is the structure of the chapter as a whole. Will it have subsections? What will they be? This planning level will maybe result in half a page or a page listing the different sections and maybe giving an estimate word count for each section. Level 2 will look at the paragraphs within the sections. Depending on your discipline, your sections might still be quite long, and you might be covering multiple ideas or pieces of evidence within them. Think about what the headline for each paragraph will be. Level 3 is thinking about the contents of the paragraphs in even more detail. At this level of planning, you might note down specific quotes that you will want to include from secondary literature, and more detail about particular pieces of evidence to be presented. You might even draft some key phrases which you can just transfer directly to the draft when the time comes. Try to produce a minimum of 3 bullet points per paragraph. If you follow the advice in this video, you should end up with 2 documents. One which contains the answers to those important questions about argument, content, and the relationship of the chapter to your thesis as a whole. And another which takes you through the chapter and tells you what to include on a paragraph by paragraph level. Together, these make up your map. The second document is the one to keep by you as you write. If it's detailed enough, you'll be amazed how easy drafting your chapter becomes. It's almost like writing by numbers. If at any point you find yourself getting a bit lost and not sure what the point you're trying to make is with your chapter, reread the first document to reorient yourself. I really hope this video has helped, and good luck with your writing.